One day, Edward and James were double-heading an express train. The lady, the young boy, and a photographer were all waiting on the platform. The photographer were waiting nearby, while the young boy ran up to Edward. "Sign my shirt," said the boy cheerfully, and the driver got out and signed the boy's shirt. But James wasn't too happy. "Why does Edward get to be admired by children, but I don't?" he snorted. Edward laughed. "And maybe it's because you're not the front engine," he said. "I'm not the front engine. I'm closer to the platform this way." And he biffed into Edward out of anger. "I can get an engine even if I'm not the front engine," he said angrily. Edward was only teasing, of course, but this only made James crosser as the garbled whistled and they left the station. "Do we need to talk about the time where you spun the tornado in the wind?" she said. "Oh yeah? Well, you haven't had an accident. You're bound to have it eventually," James argued back. And to make his point, he beefed into Edward running in, and this caused them to go faster. At the sheds, Henry and Duff were waiting for their jobs. And when Edward and James came crashing in, Edward applied his brakes, and at last the driver managed to make the two engines stop. But now, Edward had been damaged a bit. Now, Edward had been put out of service due to his damages, allowing it to be taken away. And from this, James was the front engine, and I'm sorry to say that he grew a bit more arrogant from this. As Henry sat Edward down at the station, Doug was there to comfort him. Then, they heard a whistle that was all too familiar. James came rushing into the station. "Here's James," he boasted, but he overran the platform. The other engines laughed at this, but this made James even more cross, but also embarrassed. "Be quiet," he snapped. "It's not funny. Sorry, I could have gotten injured from that sudden stop." But they didn't listen. "First Edward chases me, then I'm not in the photo, and now I overran the platform. Could my day get any worse?" "I don't know, and maybe you'll go to jail for running away from your job," said Henry cheerfully. "Ah, rubbish," said James. "But no one can do that. Besides, there aren't that many policemen on this railway." And with that, James puffed off without saying another word. "I just remembered," said Duck. "He'll get what's coming to him." "Silly Edward, silly young Henry. They don't know that I'm the most splendid engine on this railway. I may have had a few accidents, but I've improved since then. And plus, the splendid red makes me stand out compared to the usual tad green and blue." Meanwhile, in Knapford, the engines were planning to get back at James. "He's gone too far with this. All he thinks about it is red paintwork. We'll teach him a lesson." And as if on cue, they heard his whistle. James was approaching. And when he made it in the station, they all blew their whistles angrily. "Hey, what's the big idea?" James said with a start. And none of the engines were happy with him. "James, all you do is post about your paintwork and worry about it getting dirty. Worry about something else for once." "Oh, please. As if I have anything else to worry about. What about the special calling you have? Does it even do anything?" "Yes, it does. It makes the fire easier. And all you've done is stop trains and have required a bootlace to mend the hole in the brake pipe." "Oh, don't remind me of that. Just take away my coaches like you, shunter." But no matter how much they had to argue, it was no good. "James, you might be worse than Alfred." "Well, I know worse, but still, just comparing, you've done some bad things in the past as well." James said no more, and fumed away. That evening, James, still fuming, and was puffing into Never station. He saw a bunch of passengers on the platform, but they were waiting for Gordon and Edward's a nightly express train.
Then, James began to get an idea.
He looked around the platform, seeing how many passengers there were. Then, his idea began, and he waved steam all over the passengers, causing them to run away and flee. James laughed, but he wasn't off the hook just yet.
This is disgraceful,
said a policeman nearby.
You dare wish an officer of the law?
So what? Said James. He didn't get any burns.
Well, you didn't wish steam all over a bunch of passengers, and they could have gotten burns as well, so don't do that again. Otherwise, your driver might have to be arrested.
James.
I don't see your police bike nearby,
so what are you going to do about it?
James then decided to challenge the officer. His driver pulled the throttle, and James began to speed forward at full speed, running away from the officer.
Hey officer, see if you can catch me now!
Cried James as he ran down the line at full speed. And James's fireman looked back, trying to see if any police cars or bikes were heading after them, but they weren't sure if they were coming to the James' speed. But there was trouble ahead.
Red flag for James!
Cried some children waving red flags.
Get off the track!
Cried James as he whistled his back towards them.
What do we do?
The driver said as he applied the brakes. But they applied the brakes and jumped clear as James entered the tunnel.
Oh dear. Driver? Fireman? Where are you?
James called out, a bit nervous. James was all alone in the dark tunnel, but not for long, as he heard a whistle.